This would support your suspicion that a shadow organization is committed to inciting revolution by enabling acts of terror.
Around July 2014, a black woman was awarded $23.6 billion. That has everything to do with everything that's going on today.
How does your facial recognition software work?
A Florida jury has awarded a smoker's widow with one of the largest verdicts ever against a tobacco company.
And a court agreed, granting her $23 billion in her lawsuit against R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company.
For those who's not up to speed.
First, I heard millions. I didn't know it was B with a B, billions. And I still can't believe it.
Okay, look at what 1 million, now look at what 1 billion look like. Now imagine $23 billion. Gotta let that breathe for a second, because a lot of people don't respect that victory. Like, a lot of people, you hear it, but
R.J. Reynolds vows to appeal. R.J. Reynolds vows to appeal.
I don't want people to get the misconception that everything that happens is a hoax. I don't want people to think that, there's no tragedies going on, like stuff in Palestine, stuff in Africa, and stuff in the States here in America. Like, there's no tragedies in Mexico, and I don't want you to be desensitized by the foolishness that's going on due to a corporate agenda. Yes, the Oregon shooting, the Oregon supposed mass shooting, is a hoax. It is, simply because it's tied to the $23 billion appeal that R.J. Reynolds is having right now. So when you get the first red flag was, the first accused shooter was a young man by the name of Toby Reynolds. That was your first red flag. It shot through social media when you and they had a link to a video of him doing a vlog about women or something like that. But during his vlog, he's smoking cigarettes and stuff like that. And now, obviously they turned within a day or so, or a few hours after that was blasted out, that Toby Reynolds was a shooter. They retracted that and posted another young man by the name of Chris. Now, what's going on is, there's these biometric attacks. There's a rhythm to the attacks, the algorithms of what's being done. The recent attacks are more geared to attacking the lawyer that won the $23 billion for Miss Cynthia Robinson. Now, the lawyer that won the $23 billion, his name is Christopher Chestnut, along with Mr. Willie Gary and their crew. Right now, the main focus is destroying the image and the reputation of Mr. Chestnut. Mr. Chestnut is actually the prime target at this point, because the last major tragedies, events, was geared to destroying planting the seeds of biometrically tying his image to destruction, and whereas the prior events were more focused on damaging the image of Miss Robinson, her husband, her son, and another family that Mr. Chestnut was also defending, which is the Farrells, the mother and the son. And both of his cases, they're simultaneously being ripped into with these corporate attacks. The Oregon shooting is simply the white version of Charleston. And first they start with 13 dead, then they went to 10, then they went to 9. If you know anything about the numbers game that's played when you have a certain group involved, they play a number. It's always a numbers game. So things are codified, color coded, and the algorithms of these the main marks or the main victims, their names are always tied within whatever event is going on. So again, after they pulled Toby Reynolds from being the main shooter. They retracted that. They brought up another guy by the name of Chris, who so happened to look like Chris Chestnut, who so happened to look like the lawyer. Now, from there, that's when you would consider that another red flag, you know, because biometrically, once you see they have the same name and they got the same look, and then if you know anything, if you go back and we look back at the Vester Flanagan, so happened that whole that mess and that hoax, you know, where they biometrically blamed another man for that tragedy, and he had to go on social media to claim his innocence. And but you know, other news people went with that story anyway and posted his image anyway. So now with this event, pretty much the same thing is happening. And right before this event, they had the other biometric attack. They used James Blake, the tennis player, where he was accused of being a criminal because he looked like somebody that didn't commit a crime, and he was arrested by somebody that looked like him. So biometrically, they was just joking around with you. They just playing games at this point just to tease you and taunt you into the toys that they do have. Now, let's just to gear towards this Oregon thing and how they kind of compressed the entire Summer Madness into one event that this was gonna be like, oh, look how we summed it up. This is how, you know, they went from black to white to black to black to black to white, you know. So you go from the breaking news of this tragedy and, you know, and the victims, right? Then they break to this hurricane and how North Carolina is in a state of emergency, which is another flag. And this hurricane, how they tie this hurricane to Hurricane Sandy, and then they pull in the Sandy Hook event, and then they bring in this, the Newtown families, right? So all of these have to be flags when you have an event like this, because you're bringing in, you're validating one lie with another lie and another lie, you know. So the UCC, you know, the college. This is a college student. This is not 5-year-old children. These are college students. These are adults. So, and you're in a town that is a open carry town. You're in a concealed carry town. You're in a gun town. You're in a gun state. So now, immediately, you know, of course, they said, you know, that they went up to the president and everybody, you know, they automatically, it's a gun. They said it's a gun issue in America. That was immediately. Then they reflected back to Cleveland, which would be, if you know Cleveland, you're going to say Cleveland Browns. You know, the little brown baby was so happened to be shot and killed. You know, that's an unfortunate tragedy, but purposely they pulled that tragedy into play while talking about this shooting right here, because it's Cleveland, and Cleveland would be Browns. And if you're going to stay with if you're going to know the key, all of the events, every time there's an event, all of these key names and words and numbers keep coming back into play. Now, as they flash from that baby, then they pull back to this Oregon supposed shooter, Chris, who wrote a hate-filled note, you know, about how he hate life and hate this, and, you know, how he's isolated, all, you know, the regular rant on paper that they so happen to always find. He's killed or dies at the scene, or dies, the usual shit, you know. The pictures that they post of the shooting, the pictures that they post of the students exiting, is with their arms in the sky, you know, which ties you back to what? Mike Brown, right? Then they show images of the students being searched. Now you're in a gun state. You're in a gun state where these are college students. Everybody has a goddamn camera. Everybody has cameras, and maybe 1 out of 10 people would be carrying a pistol. So you got to think about it like this. Nobody had footage of this shooting. Nobody heard the shooting. Nobody actually seen any blood. Again, everything is hearsay again. Everything is hearsay. The news told you what happened. Supposed victims told you what happened. The shooter is military. The man who got shot and the supposed hero is military. Now, this whole Jade Helm thing that they said, oh, it was going to go from June to September. That Jade Helm thing, esoterically, come to find out, the Jade Helm events was tied to Mr. Chestnut. Jade is an esoteric metaphor for chestnut. Moon is also an esoteric metaphor for chestnut. So in turn, you get the dark side of the moon, and we can get into that. Then you get this whole Jade Helm with you're steering all of these events. Now, helm is to steer. So you're steering all of these tragedies and events back to Mr. Chestnut. Now, man, it's a propaganda war. They, CNN and all the mainstream media, they're pretty open at this point at saying it's a propaganda war where it's about getting into the minds of the public to get everybody to agree that guns need to be confiscated, that World War III is necessary, that we need the Amero, that 23 billion should be retracted from Miss Cynthia Robinson, and how 9/11 and the Taliban, they bringing back the Taliban and all. Come on, man, come on. You got to see that the rhythm of this crap is all crammed into this one event that was supposed to be able to be like, haha, I told you we need to take all of their guns, which is unfortunate comedy that is not too funny at this point. But you get the shooter again is supposed to be what? Mentally deranged, right? Let's just think. The shooter again is supposed to be mentally deranged. Yet all of the ATF and all the police and everybody saying like this was a well thought out plan by a mentally deranged man. wait. I heard of evil genius, but let's be realistic. There's a bunch of college students that I'm sure can't live without their phones, and 1 out of 10 is carrying pistols. Now, this mentally deranged man is just randomly pulling a gun and shooting Christians. What religion is him? Nobody. What religion is he? Nobody knows. But he's just randomly calling people, are you a Christian? And whatever crap saying that he said, and which is similar to the saying that they said in Charleston. Again, come on. You know this is you know better. You know it's fake. You know it's bullshit. Like, they're just using the emotions of religion, the emotions of race and ethnicity and all of these events. And again, with the crisis actors, Oregon had another shooting in the Reynolds School, proved to be a hoax. So again, Oregon keep tying back to Reynolds. So a lot of people, how is Oregon tied to any? Because Reynolds keep coming up. When you type in Oregon Reynolds, you see what comes up yourself. $23.6 billion. It's a win is a win is a win. You can't take back the fact that this black lawyer won.
That wreck triggered a civil war. These are no accidents. They're links in a chain. The work of a single organization.
The games begin.